In spite of the best defenses, network intrusions will still occur. To prepare for such intrusions, there needs to be a process for incident response. Incident response includes recognizing, containing, and resolving attacks on computer systems. Computer incident response teams prepare for potential intrusions by developing their roles and procedures. When attacks happen, each team member has a definite part to play. One phase of the incident response process is gathering evidence, with this evidence sometimes going to law enforcement for investigation of cybercrimes. The first step in incident response is to call together a team. The team must have a variety of skills to cope with the complex challenges of cyber intrusions. Team leadership is critical. Ideally, the head of the incident response team will be a full-time professional with bottom-line accountability for all aspects of the team and its operations. At least some team members will provide technical skills, as cyber intrusions involve networks, applications, operating systems, and data stores. The team will also need detailed technical insight into all of these areas. Cyber intrusions also have significant business and legal impacts. For this reason, some members of the incident response team will need skills in areas such as coordination, crisis communication, project management, and digital forensics. Once the team has come together, it needs to launch a process for uncovering attacks. In the previous lessons, we looked at different ways intrusions can be detected. Technical controls that may alert to a cyber attack include intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems, antivirus programs, honeypots, SIEM, and log file analytics. The line between normal network traffic and a cyber incident is often fuzzy. It is inevitable that networks will get probed by automated sweeps and scans from the far corners of the internet. Elevating such normal, noisy, nuisance traffic to the level of incidents will place an impossible workload on the incident response team. Even actual break-ins have differing levels of severity. For this reason, there needs to be a way to sort through the many potential incident reports. The most routine type of observation that may call for action is an event. An event is simply something unusual and suspicious enough to generate a report. Event reports are logged into an incident management system. Events can be given an ID number and tracked along the lines of help desk trouble tickets. Low-level analysts go through all the event reports and determine which events may be connected with one another. They also search for events of special severity. The most severe event reports are escalated. All of this works in a similar manner to law enforcement incident reporting, such as police calls, police reports, and actual police responses. Triage, the process of sorting through event reports to find those most in need of attention, is a core function for any incident response team. Once an event report has been escalated to the level of an incident, it will be necessary to communicate details about the incident to anyone who might be affected by it. The first step is to get any needed members of the incident response team working toward a resolution. A high priority at this time will be containment. The scope of the incident needs to be determined so affected systems can be taken offline or otherwise isolated from the rest of the network. Remember that many forms of malware are designed to spread. So for example, if a virus or a worm has been detected in the course of investigating the incident, it will be important to find ways to prevent that malware from propagating out to other systems. Likewise, if incident investigation determines that an intruder has installed a backdoor and is moving data out of the network, steps must be taken to cut off the illicit network communications and to further limit damage. In anticipation of potential need for containment and other rapid incident response, a good practice is to set up lines of communication such as hotlines between the incident response teams and other stakeholders such as law enforcement or network operations. After the incident has been contained, now the cleanup and recovery process must begin. Any active malware found on the systems must be eradicated. Because malware can disguise itself in very subtle ways and embed itself deeply within operating systems, in many cases the most cost-effective eradication response will involve low-level system reformatting or even hardware replacement. If clean copies of application data are available from backup systems, A fresh new installation of the operating system and any application code will likely be more reliable than file-by-file analysis of where the malware might still be lurking. That file-by-file analysis may be very desirable, however, but such detailed analysis, the process of computer forensics, is usually better conducted offline and isolated from any production system. So once containment has been achieved, clean backups can bring production back quickly, allowing deeper incident investigation to occur without negatively affecting operations. After services have been restored, additional actions will be required to complete incident investigation and response. If customer data has been breached, notification to customers may also be required by law. A desirable practice is for incident reports to be shared with other organizations that may be affected by similar attacks. Industry associations or government entities such as the United States Computer Emergency Readiness Team, US CERT, can act as a clearinghouse for such incident report sharing. Information security service providers as well as law enforcement agencies aggregate statistics on cyber incidents and try to construct an early warning system regarding potential cyber attacks. Many industry experts have noted that the most prevalent cyber attacks are not zero-day attacks. Rather, the great majority of cyber incidents whose signature and attack methodologies are already well known. So documenting, sharing, and publicizing known attack patterns can be helpful to others who wish to be proactive in the prevention of cyber attacks. A final area for follow-up after incident response is the reevaluation and improvement of network defenses. Remember, in our initial discussions of risk analysis, threats by external actors are beyond organizational control, but system vulnerabilities and weaknesses provide a point of leverage for reducing risk. Incident reports point to vulnerabilities that had previously gone unnoticed. After any intrusion that penetrates the network and causes harm, additional layers of security should be deployed to close the window of vulnerability even tighter. Sometimes organizations are conflicted about how best to respond to a cyber attack. One option is to contain and clean up the affected systems as soon as possible. An alternative philosophy is to leave malware or backdoors in operation for a while in order to gather information about the intruder. This second philosophy, the one that facilitates potential legal action against the intruder, employs the discipline of computer forensics. Computer forensics gathers evidence about computer break-ins in such a manner that the resulting evidence is admissible in a court of law. When all technical and physical controls have failed, the administrative control of legal redress may still be available, if only as a deterrent to future attacks. Oftentimes, notorious hackers grab headlines by defacing websites or otherwise penetrating high-profile government or business networks. Less noticed is that in many of these cases, years after the original incident, these same hackers are convicted and sentenced for cybercrimes following extensive law enforcement investigation. Computer forensics supplies the evidence in such cases. Many people support the idea of taking retaliatory measures against computer attackers. However, there are two potential problems with such an approach. First, the retaliation itself may violate the law. Also important to keep in mind is that cyber attackers usually take great pains to disguise their locations and their identities. One of the great values of botnets to cyber criminals is because through the botnet, criminal activity can be launched from the computer systems of unsuspecting third parties. Direct retaliation against a botnet zombie would doubly victimize the affected user and would do little to inconvenience the operator of the botnet. A more promising approach is to follow an extensive investigation with a coordinated botnet takedown, in which technology companies work with law enforcement on a global scale to disrupt the command and control system for managing the botnet and ideally bringing the bot herder to justice. Digital forensics is a specialized discipline calling for its own distinctive set of tools, rules, and procedures. One key skill in digital forensics is making exact copies of files and programs from active systems onto permanent storage media. For example, it's possible to extract the contents of random access memory from a working system, creating files that are legally admissible for evidence. That is why the impulse to shut down an infected system may need to be resisted. When the power goes down, random access memory is erased. The possible tension between containment and cleanup on the one hand, and investigation and evidence gathering on the other, is why forensic specialists need to be part of any incident response team. The best time to answer questions about when to emphasize cleanup and when to emphasize preserving evidence is before an incident has been reported. Policies, procedures, and coordination with external stakeholders, such as law enforcement or other senior management, will help to determine how evidence should be handled in any given case. Information security requires controls for preventing, detecting, and correcting network intrusions. Incident response, including digital forensics, represent corrective actions following the detection of a significant intrusion. Additionally, incident response feeds back into the prevention process signals about weaknesses that have been exposed. Incident response, in general, focuses on intrusions that are relatively limited in scope and impact. However, sometimes an event that begins as an incident can grow to a catastrophe of major proportions. At the largest scale, incidents grow into disasters. Disasters can come through human agency, such as in the massive theft of credit data. Disasters can also flow from events beyond human control. In our next lesson, we will examine how information security prepares for and responds to disasters.